When it comes to predicting the future, there are few names that are brought up as often as Baba Vanga. This old lady who went blind as a child apparently developed a sixth sense, which allowed her to predict the future. Called the Nostradamus of the Balkans, this Bulgarian mystic spent many years of her life making predictions for the human race, with her having apparently accurately predicted events like the death of Princess Diana, the Chernobyl disaster, and the 9/11 disaster. Although she passed away in 1996, she left behind a list of predictions, which, if true, spells disaster for the human race. Hello, I'm Andrew Boyd, and though I know for a fact that my future contains nothing but pain, I will take this time to tell you about the top 5 Baba Vanga predictions that prove the end of the world is near. Number 5. Oh great, more viruses. Considering how ill-prepared we turned out to be for the last super virus that ravaged the world, the idea of more viruses in the future is somehow equal parts terrifying and exhausting. Baba Vanga actually predicts a few different viruses will come to light, but the soonest will not affect humans, though it is still disturbing. According to Baba, in 2023, birds will be subjected to a deadly virus that will transmit through both the air and contaminated water. It will spread incredibly fast, wiping out entire flocks in weeks and leaving many species of bird on the brink of extinction. Scientists will apparently scramble to try and find a cure for our avian friends, but the now common sight of a flock of birds flying through the air will become a distant memory. This doesn't directly affect humans, but considering how much chicken we as a species eat, this will be a tough loss if it comes to pass. The next virus Baba Vanga predicts will apparently take hold in 2088 and will be unlike anything we've ever seen. It won't cause humans to have trouble breathing or for their immune systems to be compromised, but will apparently cause people to age extremely rapidly, resulting in a young person in their 20s looking like a senior citizen within a few seconds. This virus will apparently be an issue for humanity for almost 10 years, when it is apparently exterminated in 2097. We will then apparently get a break from pandemics until the year 2256, when a rocket sent to explore the deepest parts of the cosmos will return to Earth carrying an intergalactic virus. Hopefully, this virus won't be too intense, as a universal cure for all diseases isn't predicted until the year 4304. Though by then, Baba Vanga says that humans will no longer live on Earth, but on Mars, so make of that what you will. Number 4. A dangerous bioweapon. In 1925, the Geneva Convention decided to ban the use of biological weapons in war, with all the countries making a promise to never, under any circumstances, develop, produce, stockpile, or otherwise acquire or retain microbial or other biological agents or toxins, whatever their origin or method of production, of types and in quantities that have no justification for prophylactic, protective, or other peaceful purposes. They also agreed not to develop weapons, equipment, or means of delivery designed to use such agents or toxins for hostile purposes, or in armed combat. For the most part, the countries of the world have stuck to this agreement, other than some outliers such as the Soviet Union and Iraq. Unfortunately, one of Baba Vanga's other predictions for 2023 says that a large country will begin testing a new bioweapon. She is sparse on the details, but if this is true, which of the large nations will be carrying out the test? Will it be Russia, the United States, China? Who? And what is the nature of this bioweapon? Does it contain lab-grown viruses that could wreak havoc on humanity, or some other deadly mutagen that could permanently alter the DNA of its victims? Although she has had a few predictions that came true, Baba Vanga also said that World War III would begin in 2010, and that by 2016, Europe would become an empty wasteland. So hopefully, this is one of the predictions that turns out to not be true, as the idea of chemical weapons being unleashed this year is simply too much for me to deal with on top of everything else going on. Number 3. A change in the Earth's orbit. There's a lot of wonderful things to like about the planet Earth. Lush fields, flowing water, and its orbit exactly where it should be, which is quite an underrated but fantastic trait of the big blue marble we call home. Baba Vanga made another worrying prediction about the state of the Earth for 2023. She predicted that somehow something is going to knock Earth off of its orbit forever. Now, it should go without saying that something knocking Earth off of its orbit would be very bad. If Earth somehow was thrown off its orbit by some terrible force, it would wreak incalculable havoc. Countries would be thrown into cycles of days and nights that would last not for hours, but for months at a time. Think of the damage that would be caused. Unending daylight would lead to mass sleep deprivation, global anxiety, as well as incalculable damage to our flora, fauna, and wildlife. Crops would be ravaged and burnt, leading to a global famine. Unending days would lead to temperatures doubling, melting the ice caps at an even faster rate than they already are. This would result in massively rising sea levels and the flooding of coastal cities. Unending night wouldn't be much better, as it would make things very cold, and plant life would have no way to achieve the necessary photosynthesis, resulting in crop failures and once again, countless deaths. Interestingly, this is a recognized phenomenon called a polar night, and there's a town in Norway that experiences something like this. In Tromsø, the sun doesn't rise from November to January. While this is fine for a Norwegian town, a polar night taking place in the bread bowl is a recipe for disaster, and that's not even mentioning how much easier that would make it for vampires to attack us. Number 2, a solar storm. With all the rather dire predictions made by Baba Vanga, it could be tempting to call her a pessimist. One of her more devastating predictions for the year ahead is that we will experience what is known as a solar storm. A solar storm refers to phenomena taking place on the surface of the sun, such as coronal mass ejections or solar flares. If one of these coronal mass ejections were to reach Earth, it would cause a geomagnetic storm that would have horrible consequences for our technology-reliant world. This kind of storm has happened before on Earth in 1859 in what has since been called the Carrington event, due to the work of astronomer Richard Carrington. It resulted in telegraph networks being knocked out, as well as people using electronics being electrocuted, and even some pretty nasty fires. But it would be much worse if it happened today. Imagine, if you will, a world where all of the technology you take for granted was suddenly fried and unusable. Suddenly, internet access and records would be lost. Communication systems that we have come to rely on to keep our world running would become useless blocks of dead machinery. A world of darkness where chaos reigns and the financial markets are suddenly put into a dramatic tailspin that we could not even begin to reverse the effects of for years. Think of the chaos that took place relatively recently in Texas when the power grid went down, and imagine what would happen if that took place all over the world. The effect of this happening now could be no less than the total collapse of modern society. This is one of the most plausible predictions made by Baba Vanga, as some scientists say that since this kind of solar activity has happened before, we are overdue for it to happen again, and that is a matter not of if, but rather of when it happens. Considering the disastrous global consequences of one of these severe solar storms, let us hope that Baba Vanga is incorrect in her prediction that this will happen in 2023. Number 1, an alien invasion. One of Baba Vanga's most surprising predictions for 2023 is that this is the year we will make contact with visitors from another world. Unfortunately for us, these visitors will apparently not be coming in peace. She says that aliens will attack the Earth, and that during their invasion, they will use technology in order to prevent us from using electricity for 3 days and 3 nights, and that the Earth will be plunged into total darkness, with neither the moon or the stars being visible. We've already gone over how reliant we are on technology in the previous entry, so imagine how difficult it would be for us to suddenly be thrown back to the Stone Age, and then have to try and fight an alien race who have extremely advanced technology, as well as a desire to kill us. Baba Vanga claims that this will not be the end of the species as a whole, and that 10,000 of us will survive. But considering that we currently have a planet-wide population of 7.8 billion people, 10,000 survivors indicates only a 1.28% survival rate, meaning that for all practical purposes, it would be the end of the world as we know it. Apparently, peace with extraterrestrials is something we will eventually achieve, as Baba Vanga predicts that in the year 2130, aliens will be helping us to construct underwater cities, which will manage to become autonomous by producing their own power and food by 2195. These underwater cities are even more impressive when you consider that Baba Vanga also predicts that the Earth will become dry and desertified by 2170. Baba Vanga also predicts that in the year 2288, humanity will discover time travel, and that this is when aliens and humans will make contact. Which is interesting, as she already said that the first contact in war with the aliens would happen 265 years prior. And if this is his first contact? Who are the aliens helping us build the underwater cities on the dry desert planet of Earth 158 years earlier in 2130? Do all these contradictions have anything to do with the time travel we will discover? Truly, Baba Vanga gets more and more mysterious as time goes by. Well, predicting the future is a difficult art at the best of times. The dark forces that trapped me here tell me that your future will be one of brutality and torture should you fail to like and comment on this video, and that subscribing to our channel is your only hope of salvation. I'm off to try and escape from a self-fulfilling prophecy concerning my death at the hands of an eldritch monster. If I should succeed, perhaps we will meet again soon, and I can regale you with more tales of the macabre and the disturbing here on Top 5 Scary Videos.